I was lucky enough to be in the right place at the right time and meet the right people.
I was engaged to a man named Bernie Taupin, who's Elton's lyricist.
At 77 years old, Don Henley, the iconic voice behind some of rock's most unforgettable songs, has finally revealed that one woman was, and is, the love of his life. Despite a career defined by fame, dizzying highs, and a string of high-profile romances, it was a quiet, steady bond he built away from the spotlight that turned out to be the most important. Don Henley's love life has been anything but simple. Let's explore his journey to finding his true match. In 1974, a young Don Henley was on the verge of something extraordinary. The Eagles were just emerging, and while fame was beginning to creep in, it hadn't yet consumed him. His personal life was still a quiet storm, until he met Lori Rodkin, who worked behind the scenes at a music management company. Lori's grounding and calmness in an industry known for its chaos immediately drew Henley in. Unlike so many others on the Sunset Strip, Lori wasn't interested in hard partying or the relentless substance use of the era. To Henley, who was quickly learning how easy it was to get lost in the madness, she was a beacon of stability. Their relationship evolved quickly. Henley, in his late 20s, and Lori, seasoned by the music business grind, decided to move in together. They chose Malibu, a peaceful coastal haven that offered the privacy Henley desperately needed as his fame grew. But despite their genuine affection, the pressure of his skyrocketing career began to fracture their bond. By 1975, the Eagles were recording one of these nights, and Henley was constantly pulled away by studio sessions and tour demands. The simple, heartfelt bond they shared started to break under the weight of mistrust and insecurity. Their breakup was bitter and messy, leaving emotional wreckage in its wake. Heartbroken but fiercely independent, Lori walked away. Henley, in turn, channeled his sorrow and regret into his songwriting. Much of the disillusionment and themes of crumbling facades on the Eagles' masterpiece, Hotel California, were rooted in this failed relationship. Wasted Time, in particular, is an emotional centerpiece of the album, and those in Henley's inner circle knew Lori was the muse. Years later, Henley would admit that his personal experiences from this period, especially his breakup with Lori, were the emotional backbone of the album. As Henley and the Eagles soared to new heights, Lori forged her own path, carving out a new identity as a renowned jewelry designer, later creating pieces for stars like Madonna and Cher. She chose to build a life on her own terms, proving that proximity to fame can come at a personal cost. By the mid-1970s, the Los Angeles music scene was a swirling mix of genius and indulgence. It was in this electric atmosphere that a heartbroken Don Henley met Stevie Nicks. Both were at pivotal points in their lives. Henley was a central force in the Eagles' success, while Stevie had just joined Fleetwood Mac, and the band was undergoing an extraordinary transformation. Against this backdrop of creative brilliance and personal chaos, Henley and Nicks found themselves drawn to one another. They moved in the same circles, recording studios, parties in Laurel Canyon, and Malibu estates. Their bond formed quickly, fueled by a mutual understanding of what fame demanded. They spent late nights talking about everything from poetry to the burdens of being creative perfectionists. Their relationship escalated with the velocity that often comes when two people are carrying invisible wounds. Each offered the other a temporary escape from the studio battles and relentless glare of public attention. By 1978, both bands were global phenomena, but at a personal cost. During this time, Henley and Nicks's relationship deepened, bringing both beautiful highs and devastating lows. In early 1979, Stevie became pregnant with Henley's child. At the peak of her career, and with solo ambitions beginning to crystallize, the idea of motherhood seemed impossible. After much soul-searching, she made the agonizing decision to terminate the pregnancy. For both of them, it was a crushing blow. Their already fragile relationship couldn't survive the grief and unspoken resentment that lingered. The emotional aftermath found its way into their music. Stevie's song Sarah, on her 1981 solo album Belladonna, is a haunting reflection of that lost chapter, with part of the song inspired by the name she would have given their child. Despite the intense pain, Henley and Nicks managed to remain friends and collaborators. Their deep respect for each other's artistry never wavered. Throughout the decades, they would occasionally work together, and both spoke of the other with a kind of wistful affection. Henley acknowledged her extraordinary resilience, and Stevie named him as one of the few men in her life who truly understood the sacrifices her career demanded. Their friendship endured, a testament to the deep bond they shared even after their romance ended. After the emotional turbulence of his relationship with Stevie Nicks, Don Henley, then in his early 30s, found himself at a crossroads. He needed a reprieve from the chaos. Around 1980, he met Lois Chiles, a woman whose grounded demeanor and intelligence offered something different from the world of his musician peers. Lois, a well-established model and actress, was celebrated for her sophistication and self-possession. Raised in Texas, she had transitioned from a successful modeling career to acting, starring in films like The Way We Were and as Dr. Holly Goodhead in the James Bond film Moonraker. Their relationship blossomed quietly, a stark contrast to the media frenzy that surrounded his romance with Stevie Nicks. Lois wasn't part of the rock and roll circus. She brought a sense of calm and decorum into his life. Henley was entering a new creative phase, focusing on his solo career after the Eagles' official disbandment in 1980. Lois was a steady presence during the creation of his debut solo album, I Can't Stand Still. Their relationship, which lasted about 3 years, was refreshingly free of major drama. Friends noted how Henley seemed to mellow during this period, finding in Lois someone who could match his intellectual curiosity without the emotional roller coaster of his past relationships. Their breakup wasn't explosive. Their relationship simply faded, as some do when two people realize they are walking different paths. They parted amicably, maintaining mutual respect and allowing both to move forward without bitterness. After the graceful end of his relationship with Lois Chiles, Henley was once again searching for deeper companionship. In the early 1980s, he met Maren Jensen, an actress known for her role in Battlestar Galactica. About 9 years Henley's junior, Maren possessed a maturity and intelligence that set her apart. At the time, her acting career was winding down due to her battle with the debilitating Epstein-Barr virus. Henley, also at a turning point in his life, found a kindred spirit in Maren. Their romance bloomed in private spaces away from public scrutiny. Henley soon realized Maren was not only a supportive partner, but also an artistic collaborator. As he conceptualized his solo debut, I Can't Stand Still, Maren provided backing vocals on tracks like Johnny Can't Read. Her influence extended beyond his music and into his growing social consciousness, particularly his passion for environmental issues. Their bond solidified, leading to a rumored engagement in 1984. Friends and industry insiders considered them an ideal match, and they began building a life together, dreaming of a future that balanced personal happiness with creative fulfillment. However, pressures loomed. Henley's career demands intensified with the success of his second solo album, Building the Perfect Beast. Compounding these challenges was Maren's continued struggle with her health, which made it difficult for her to keep up with Henley's fast-paced world. By late 1985, their engagement quietly dissolved. It was a deeply painful but mutually sad decision. Yet, remarkably, they remained close friends. When Henley founded the Walden Woods Project in 1990, Maren was among the first to offer her support. Her post-acting life was just as dynamic. She co-founded Stila Cosmetics, a brand that quickly rose to prominence in the beauty industry. In early 1994, when Don Henley was 46 and riding a second wave of fame with the Eagles reunion, fate introduced him to the woman who would transform his life, Sharon Summerall, a stunning former model from Texas. Sharon had a successful career in fashion, but was a grounded, private soul. Their first meeting in Los Angeles was a serendipitous encounter that felt fated. At the time, Sharon was 32 and had been recently diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, a chronic neurological disease. Instead of being deterred, Henley leaned in. For a man who had often written about the fragility of life and trust, Sharon's situation only deepened his commitment. Their bond blossomed, built on shared values and mutual care, away from the glare of fame. By the end of 1994, it was clear this was not a fleeting romance. They quickly grew close, with Henley often retreating from the public eye to spend time with Sharon at his Malibu property. After a year of courtship, they were married on May 20, 1995, in a lavish but personal ceremony at his ranch in the Santa Monica Mountains. The guest list included music legends like Bruce Springsteen, Sting, Billy Joel, and all 4 original Eagles members. The wedding was a celebration of a new chapter for Henley, a transition from a restless seeker to a man who had finally found his harbor. Sharon's presence stabilized Henley in ways that were immediately apparent to his friends. He became calmer and more centered, and spoke openly about wanting a family. Soon after their marriage, they had 3 children, a daughter, Annabelle, and 2 sons, Will and Henry. Fatherhood transformed him, infusing his music with a sense of responsibility and introspection. While Sharon's battle with multiple sclerosis remained part of their lives, Henley chose to shield his family from the media spotlight, speaking only with loving respect about her strength and resilience. He also quietly supported medical research for the disease. Their life together has been one of understated elegance. The Henley family home is a carefully curated retreat, complete with a vineyard and organic gardens. Henley became as much a farmer as a musician, dedicating himself to conservation efforts. Sharon, though largely out of the public eye, is the steady, loving force that has allowed Henley to live the values he has so often sung about. In an industry littered with broken marriages, Don and Sharon have endured. Their love story has been written in private, away from the noise, on their own terms. And as the story goes, love finds a way indeed. A happy ending to this saga after all.